file. I know, I understand how a lot of that works, but I don't know, like, sort of audio profiles. What do people really consider this to be this, or what to be that? But yeah, it's one of those things where I think if I was that inclined, I probably would get really heavily into that stuff. But it is very funny because it's like, I feel like a lot of that, it's once you've got it, you don't fiddle with it. And that's what I try to do a lot of the time. But anyway, enough rambling. We should do some news. Let's do it. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully everything works fine today because that was a bit of a clicky... OBS crashed twice this morning, by the way. I don't know. I think my RAM might be going. Chat, we might have to... Computer upgrades may be required at this rate. But it's news time. Welcome in for the news for what is today. It is the 5th of February 2022. On a sunny, now kind of overcast Saturday day. So there's a decent amount here. Very pokey orientated, kind of. Well, I cut a lot of the pokey stuff, but I've got my hat on, so you have to accept that. But let's jump in. First up, PlayStation cross Discord linking. So if you guys didn't see, Discord has promoted essentially there is going to be a cross linking feature essentially with your PlayStation account in Discord. I'm not really sure what it's going to do. I think perhaps it might show on Discord what game you're playing. I think it's just going to also have it so if you wanted to do any chat features between the two platforms, I've already linked it. It's not really anything too crazy, but it's something nice to have. I feel like because a lot of the chat services I think kind of suck across a lot of the platforms, I think that having one that's a bit more universally used and can integrate is good. We've had these in the past. There was like there was a point there, I want to say like 10 years ago, where we just had a shit ton of chat clients for gaming, different gaming things and stuff like that. I used to use something called Xfire and stuff like that. A lot of those have now been pulled back. People really have just reduced down, and Discord has come out as the champion. For voice chat, it used to be people using a lot of Ventrilo or TeamSpeak and things like that, and I don't even think those are really used these days either anymore. Because people are either using in-game or they're using Discord, basically. And if you're a Nintendo player, you're probably just using Discord. But yeah. It's a good thing. I think this is okay. I think that hopefully it just makes connectivity and communication a bit easier, and it means that PlayStation or Microsoft and different companies like that don't have to try and develop some shitty first-party one that doesn't really work the way you want it to. I only have a PS1, PS2, PS3. I don't think this means anything for me. I don't know. It says PS4, PS5. Bandry, you might have to get a PS4 or a PS5. I would actually suggest getting a PS4. That library is very, very choice. I remember TeamSpeak and ADMO. ADMO? I think you mean, is that Digimon MMO? I don't know. I still miss MSN Messenger though. God, that's a blast from the past. MSN Messenger. Skype too. Moving on. Pokemon Diamond Pearl sound library lets people use the Diamond and Pearl music. This one is really a weird one. This was just a weird piece of news. So if usually sound libraries and things like that don't ever go public, this one's very interesting because of the fact that it had music in it. Usually sound libraries means that you can free use this stuff. But that means that the Pokemon songs are free use, but they're remixes of actual Pokemon songs, so I don't understand how that works. I'm fairly sure copyright claims will be ahead for some of that if people do end up using it. I don't know how, but hey, it's better than it being on, say, like Spotify and it's trapped there and it has like sort of branding associated to it, or you have to pay for it and things like that. Aria's Digimon Masters. Ah, I thought so. I was like, I didn't know what the A was. Yeah, a lot of fan ones get shut down pretty quickly, unfortunately. This one was pretty crazy. I've talked about this before, where it's talking about the Switch being such a revolutionary console, and it's about bloody time that that this has kind of happened. Nintendo Switch sales pass 100 million units, overtaking the PlayStation and the Wii. We officially have now got the successor to the Wii. We've officially reached a point where the PlayStation 2, being the best sold console ever, might be dethroned. The Switch is really heading to a place where it is the console. You either have a PlayStation 5 or a Switch. We are back in the we're basically just back in the GameCube era. Not GameCube era, sorry, the Wii era. GameCube did terribly. But yeah, pretty cool. Hopefully this means that we will see Nintendo look at the Switch in a way that's like, don't know if they're going to do the Wii thing where they just don't release any new versions of it, or maybe we get an upgraded one. I personally would like to see a better Switch, just because some games we already have seen are a little bit hit by them, and we do know that they can be better, but that's not necessarily Nintendo's prerogative. The games are still fine. They're all just very, very usable. It's just a lot of the modern games. A good example is actually Pokemon Arceus. Don't quite gel with the hardware in a sense. Like, that's a game that feels like it kind of needs something more. 50 million to go. The long road, but it's one of those things that it's funny because it'll dip up, dip down, but a lot of it will be at the start and then it'll go down a bit. You're waiting for a Switch Pro XL? Yeah, I think most people are. Honestly, I really would like to see it. I think most people would. I think that's why everyone was so wanting to believe those fake rumors about there being a new version. I did warn a lot of people about that new version situation with the Switch, about it not being necessarily a real rumor. But hopefully we do see something in the future. Square Enix will celebrate Nier Reincarnation's first anniversary event with a live stream. So this will be for the Japanese anniversary. We've only had the game for a few months in the West, and we've not gotten the full story yet. The new story branches are coming out soon. I think that will probably be announced probably at this anniversary, and I'm excited. I genuinely think the story is very good in that game. I feel like the gacha is a bit rough, and I think there's some things that need to improve, but as a Nier IP, it is very enjoyable. As long as they don't name an upgraded one as a new Nintendo Switch like they did with 3DS. Yeah, I kind of agree, Red Rover. I feel like there was a weird marketing thing that happened at some point in Nintendo where they just didn't quite know what they want to do, and really hope we don't see that ever again, because that was not fantastic. Should have paired this with the other Poké news. Pokemon Legends of Arceus sells more than 6.5 million. So think about how many copies of, think of how many Switches are out there. 100 million Switches. 6.5 million units in a week. That's 6.5%. That's probably going to reach 10% of all Switch owners, and that's not like multiple people have multiple Switches. That's like at least 10% of the market. That's pretty crazy. That's where they're approaching. So very, 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 very good sales. Like, I mean, the thing is, you can see that Pokemon Sword and Shield sold 6 million. Diamond and Pearl also had about the same amount. Diamond and Pearl, notably, people not happy with that game. A lot of people, it was a very torn thing. I think it was a lot of the retro versus the new versus a lot of stuff like that. However, this has had a relatively positive release, just in terms of people enjoying it and then encouraging other people to purchase it. So it's done well. Nintendo figured it out. They've gone and in a different direction, and it's paid off, and that's a good thing. Honestly, we've been waiting for this as Poké fans for quite some time, and really, I'm just happy that it's worked. I think it's worked. I don't know how the formula will work in the future, but hopefully it means that it's something where we have we can look essentially to the future and be like, yep, this is where we're going. But yeah, cool. Pokemon. Ghostwire Tokyo gets a hands-off gameplay preview. So I have not watched the footage yet. I don't know if this has a link to the footage, but I am looking forward to this game just because it sounds pretty cool. Visuals look pretty cool. It seems like the game may have gone through a development hell, so hopefully it's an okay game. But it's sci-fi ghost Tokyo with like monsters and strange things, and it sounds pretty cool to me. Unsure how horror-ishy it is, but if it's a bit more action and more vibe, perhaps it might be up my alley. Who knows? But I'm excited for it. We'll have to look for the footage of it at some point, and I might have to watch that. Money for merch. All right, we only have one merch thing I want to talk about. It's a Pokemon-related one. I actually really like this one because I've talked about this before. I think there's not many things I would get for Pokemon merch. A nice Pokeball is still something that I think I would really enjoy, and I actually really like the Heal Balls. I think the Heal Balls have a nice like color palette to them. I think that I think these look just nice. This is just a nice Pokeball. But yeah, I think there's a lot of these new glow-in-the-dark ones and stuff like that. Like that just are nice. This is the reason why I've talked about where it'd be good to have additional Apricorn Pokeballs in Legends of Arceus rather than just getting a lot of the 2 types of the heavy ones, 2 types of the wing ones, and that's it. It would have been cool to get some of the Apricorn ones that are just interesting in terms of mechanics, but perhaps the future might hold that. But for now, this looks quite nice. Any announcements? Lots of announcements, actually. There's quite a lot. I'll go through some of them. Some of you guys might have heard. Some of them are a bit bigger, some are a bit smaller. Supermassive Game trademarks 5 new Dark Pictures titles. So I'm a bit of a fan of the Dark Pictures games because as much as they're not the best thing ever, they're just dumb fun. I honestly think that these are just enjoyable for a way of telling a narrative. And honestly, I hope the future ones are a bit better. We've got some really dark ones that are coming out. The next one is about a serial murderer, kind of Saw-like it sounds like, but generally they're a bit more like on the mystical side, like weird shit happening and like whether or not like it's real or not, and which generally the sci-fi ends up being real. Unlike I was going to say Until Dawn, but Until Dawn ended up being, yes, the Wendigos were real and stuff. Hey Indominus, this is your automated message. Not today. Don't worry, I know what you were going to say, Indominus. I've internalized it. Welcome on in. But yeah, so the new ones are going to be Craven Man, which I don't know if that's the new game. There must be another one after that. I don't really know what that is. I wonder if it's a Wicker Man. To Death, which, or O Death. I don't know what that is, a man in a picture. 8020, so it looks like Directive 8020. Maybe we're getting a future one. That's pretty cool. Intercession, that looks like a sword, so maybe we're getting a medieval one. And the Winterfold, which I think that looks like just a rural sign. So I think that at least those ones are clear. I don't know what O Death might be, but cool. I'm excited. If you don't know, all the Dark Pictures games are actually interlocked in terms of like the stories all related to an overarching plot. Still don't quite know what it all is. We still know that like each game like has teasers for the future ones. Perhaps we go back and we find, because I do think one of them actually talked about a weird alien thing. So we do know that the aliens were in the most recent game, but yeah, excited. Shiny hunting in Arceus is stupid easy. That's what I've heard, Indominus. It sounds like it's going to get even easier as well as you play more of the game. So I'm probably not going to go shiny hunting. I'm not really a fan of that, but there's some Pokemon that I think I'd be interested to see. It's always aliens. Not in those games generally. It's only that one storyline is aliens. The only one that wasn't sci-fi-ish was the weird toxins on the ship, which was also a weird storyline. Puzzle Quest 3 launches March 1st. So I actually have not played a Puzzle Quest game in an eternity. I think Puzzle Quest 2 was like forever ago. I'm hoping this doesn't. This looks kind of like a mobile game, which has me a little bit worried, and I think it might be. I like the old Puzzle Quest games, but this kind of looks maybe a little more mobile game than I was thinking it was going to look like. But maybe I might have to pick this up and play this at some point. So I do like me some Puzzle Quest. All right, now we're talking. Mina the Hollower is the Shovel Knight developers' new game. So if you guys haven't been following, I love Shovel Knight. I don't think I've played it on stream, but Shovel Knight, extremely good game. All the DLC is very good too. Very fun. They capture exactly what you want from that generation of gaming. However, I'm not a bigger side scroller person. Top-down RPGs are my jam back in the day, including very specific Zelda games. Like Link to the Past might be my favorite video game still at points. It's very good. And you watched me play Seasons and Ages. Their new game, Mina the Hollower, is basically Seasons and Ages. It's very strange because it looks like assets directly from those games, which, if you don't know, were actually Capcom made, not Nintendo made. So, let's check out this trailer. Hey Kuriyaku, welcome in. Oh, his Twitter compression is pretty bad. It's so crazy how much it just looks like a Seasons and Ages. They must have had the same thought I did over the years, which is, holy crap, why did they not make more of these games? It genuinely looks so much like it, and it looks really good. This looks so fun to me. I'm very excited. Like, it literally, like, it's got so much stuff, like Link falling down the chimney, the carrying of the rocks, the fact that there's a grappling hook, the little fire sprites that come up, the jump mechanic, like everything is just, it's just Link. I'm just looking at Link, but he's a mouse. In fact, there is a power-up you get in one of the top-down ones, which is you basically become a little mouse man. And I'm just in love with this. I'm very excited. There's also a Ganon like there. Also, the little whistle. There's just so much stuff in here. They show so much in this trailer. There's quite a few bosses as well. I hope this is as big as Shovel Knight. I hope this is really enjoyable. It looks really fun. But yeah, as you noticed, that game is actually going to be on Kickstarter, which I kind of agree. I'm not sure that is necessarily required for the Shovel Knight team. They're big enough now. People know who they are. However, it is one of those things where it's smart for them to do this in some ways because it is called Mina the Hollower. That doesn't strike people with, oh, it's necessarily it's something related to the Shovel Knight team. Like, it doesn't seem like it's like, oh yeah, I know who this is, we're going to get those games. Yacht Club Games is still relatively unknown in the sense that it's an indie developer. They've gone and gotten accolades and stuff. People like myself will recognize who they are. But if you saw this on a store shelf, just a random person saw this on a store shelf, they probably would not know to pick this up. And I think that's the difficult part. Also, I wonder if it's got some Castlevania inspirations. I just realized with sort of the thematics and the fact that there's a whip and stuff. But it looks very good. They smashed their Kickstarter goal. I haven't even had a look. Let's have a look. I haven't seen what the Kickstarter goal is. Holy crap! They've almost reached 1 million. 435,000 of their goal. They've reached 884,000. Holy crap. That's pretty cool. I probably will end up backing this one soon. It looks very, very good. It's very, very much my type of game. And I kind of have faith in them. They've proven themselves time and time again. So it's like, this one's a pretty safe bet. For a Kickstarter, pretty safe bet. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Probably fine. Relative to that, I should have done these two ones in the opposite order. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon DLC will add online multiplayer. So if you haven't played Pocket Dungeon, that's on like I think it's on the Switch, but it's also on the phone. They're adding online multiplayer, which is cool. This game is being expanded. I still have not played this. It looks good. It looks kind of fun. But yeah, I've heard good things about it. So hopefully people are excited for that online DLC. Speaking about mobile though, this one was kind of out of nowhere. In some ways, I don't know. This is weird. Activision Blizzard, not in a good space. Talking about them is, we have to talk about them. And yeah. Blizzard is bringing Warcraft to mobile. We don't know what that means. World of Warcraft is the only game that have released in the Warcraft franchise outside of Heroes of the Storm and Warcraft 3 Reforged, which went abysmally. So who knows what this could mean. Don't know if it's going to be something strange where they're essentially trying to mobilify WoW, which is possible. I would say that WoW, ironically, is visually able to do it. I don't think it would necessarily work. I don't know if this means they're going to be doing side stories where they're looking at different characters and things like that. Hearthstone went very well, and that uses a whole heap of weird side story stuff that's just completely unrelated to WoW. But yeah, this may not be the correct direction to go. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, but that's what they're doing. That's what apparently Activision Blizzard has decided the new way forward, especially considering they've had a massive people reducing how much sales essentially that they've had for Blizzard related games, for people subscribing to WoW, to like just in general. They've taken a lot of hit. Mobile gamers. The thing is, mobile gamers, it's a funny term because it's a lot of the time will be mobile gamers are a weird intersection with normal gamers, where normal gamers will be playing their mobile games when they're traveling, when they're doing something else. It's their weird pickup thing because they can't play their main game at home. People who play just mobile games don't really care about proper like IPs and big things like that. So things like this only makes it into their sort of space if it is something that has some general appeal to it, which who knows? Like, don't really know what they were trying to approach with this game, but I guess we'll see. As for a weird other announcement that's sort of only a soft announcement, Rockstar Games' active development for the next entry for Grand Theft Auto is well underway. So everyone pretty much knows this. This is a bizarre piece of news. I always feel weird talking about these pieces of news, but I saw a lot of people talk about it, so I thought it'd be worth bringing up. GTA it's one of those ones where people will constantly be releasing rumors about the new game and just various information that's very, very fake. And Rockstar seemingly is very good at keeping things under wraps in terms of their development, despite how big they are. And GTA 6 is pretty, like, I'm fairly sure it was a guarantee as soon as GTA 5 sold as well as it did on the initial release, they would have started plans for it. Now, don't know what this could take any form of. Fairly sure it'll just be a bigger, better version of GTA 5. But it's going to be one of those things where this was just a given. But going to be still quite some time, considering how long they've taken from GTA 5 to now, to even get to the point of saying, yes, we are in development. Very likely this is going to be big. This is going to be a very, very big game, but like most Rockstar games, but we're not really quite sure how or big or what. It'll release the same time as Half-Life 3. No, this game will come out. It just is going to take some while. Grand Theft Auto and 5 made so much money on just the release, people purchasing it as well as in-game currency, that there is no way they're not going to try and prep for the next moneymaker, really. It's going to be a while though. Wouldn't hold my breath on that one. One that took me by surprise this week, Voice of Cards, the Forsaken Maiden announced. So I still have not played Voice of Cards. I was really looking forward to it. People said it's relatively short but very enjoyable. However, they've released an expansion or second version of the game, which uses improved, better systems, which surprises to me. And it looks even more like a Yoko Taro game. It looks way more like Drakengard, and holy shit, this artwork looks dope, and the music's really good, and I hope the story is good. So I will have to play Voice of Cards like sometime soon.
Worthless. Across the seas and through her own heart.
Oh, look at the art! It's so good. So it looks like you build a ship at the start of it, and then you take it out to the ocean, which I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means you now get access to water tiles, or if you're going to particular islands, or what. But for short stories, I think something like this makes sense, because Yoko Taro just likes writing. So sounds like a good one-sided stream game. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I don't know how to approach it, because I think it's a very me thing, but it's like I don't know whether or not streaming would be worth it, just because I don't think a lot of people will play it, but the stories are, I'm going to imagine, are pretty well written. So
I'm certain we'll meet again in the world of Voice of Cards someday.
But yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's like I feel like Yoko Taro has just been given free reign to do whatever he wants now, and this is what he's decided to do. And I'm kind of excited. All right, now for the flip side. We've done announcements. We're now doing delays. So there's a single delay. It's just there's been a report. Apparently, Suicide Squad is going to be delayed till 2023. Which is fine. That game looked big. It does actually look enjoyable. The only reason I'm bringing up this particular delay is because I was kind of interested in this one. But it might lean into the rumor of the other Warner Brothers published games, which is Hogwarts Legacy, Gotham Knights, and Star Wars The Skywalker Legacy. So I don't know what is now going to be this year's release. It is possible that Hogwarts Legacy is actually going to be the title that actually does get released this year, which was supposed to be early this year originally, a few years back when it was announced, but yeah, it seems like maybe that's it. Gotham Knights, I don't even know if we've had information on these two really in a long time, the other two, but look more interested in the actual movie. Yeah, I think it actually looked like a fun game, I'm not gonna lie, so yeah, interesting. As I mentioned, only one delay, but we have a lot of controversies, ironically. All right, controversies. You can take a guess at a couple of the ones that might be here this week. It's been a while since we've done a section of these. Bandai Namco allegedly aware of the Dark Souls PC exploit for years. So, this is interesting because this is FromSoft. More so than Bandai Namco, I would say here at fault in a sense, but perhaps Bandai Namco should have pushed more to fix it. So essentially, if you weren't aware, last week I talked about this, there has been discovered a exploit on Dark Souls on their engine on how they do their online, but predominantly in Dark Souls 3. I'm not sure if it impacts Dark Souls 2 and 1, but essentially there is an exploit that people can do where they can basically hack your computer with running code on your computer via the online service, which can then impact directly to the computer's operating. So, which means that like they can shut down your computer, they could burn out hardware pieces, they could crash your computer, they can do all these things that are pretty devastating. And like I said, if anything real comes about with it, that could be class action lawsuit level of a problem. And Bandai Namco not doing anything, if they supposedly knew about this for years, pretty bad. especially with Elden Ring coming out, that's something that they will need to resolve before then. Otherwise, it will cause some real major problems and kind of scary shit. So the problem with this talking about this topic is it's kind of a weird not chicken egg, but it's like, it's a double-edged sword. You want to talk about it to let people know that there is an issue like this to be aware of, to protect yourself when you're going online, especially streamers when Elden Ring comes out. But talking about it also then brings its attention to people that might also want to use it, I guess. And it's a rough thing to talk about with stuff like this sometimes, but people should be aware. I don't know what they're going to do about this. I don't think they have enough time before the release of Elden Ring to fix something so substantial if they still haven't fixed it in their older games. But yeah, we'll see what happens, because this could be something dangerous. Bandai Namco could be sitting on a bomb like this. Really hard to say, but yeah, be aware. Be aware if you're playing that game. Might want to play it in offline mode, at least for the first few weeks. Team 17 dropped Worms NFT. So, Team 17 talked about that they were going to be doing NFTs. They didn't really know quite what they would be doing. And then they announced they're going to do something called Meta Worms. It was an NFT project. And yeah, kind of wacky that they would even do this. If you didn't see it, you could brand your own worm and whatever. And everyone jumping on the bandwagon. It's a little disappointing that Team 17 did that. But what was crazy about this was actually one of their developers that they published for, Aggro Crab, condemns Team 17 over their NFTs. So, Aggro Crab, very, very vocal about how upset they were about this. They're pretty like indie out there. They kind of have like Digital Evolver sort of vibes to them in a sense. They were not happy about this at all. We at Aggro Crab condemn Team 17's decision to produce and engage with NFTs. This is from the lead director Nick Kamen and lead writer programmer Kaylin Pollock. We believe that NFTs cannot be environmentally friendly or useful and are really just our overall fucking grift. They basically put there's a big image I think on the Twitter page. I don't know if it's got a link to the Twitter. They were very upset. They said that they will no longer be working with a studio that will do this sort of project. And yeah, Team 17 held out for like a few days, didn't make any comment. And then back to the article we were talking about, they dropped the project. Apparently there was a large outcry of people around NFTs, specifically about the Team 17 one as well, and now it has been dropped. But unsure whether or not this is going to be a situation where essentially Aggro Crab are going to stay with them as a publisher, or they will find a new publisher. Very likely they will move on. It's serious business if they drop the F-bomb. But so just to, by the way, this is why I said they're kind of Digital Evolver like. This is not a surprise for Aggro Crab. They're a bit more indie fun. Like if you've seen their games, it kind of makes sense. If you understand who their community managers and stuff were in the past, it kind of makes sense as to them doing something like this. But yeah, I think it was a bit of like a shock to a lot of people when they see business talk and they see the F word and the imagery that they just had an image that had like a lot of their text, so it's like I couldn't be copy paste changed or whatever. Yeah, I think Team 17 was not a big fan of that, so there will be some serious discussion between those two businesses behind doors. Unsure what will happen, but yeah, NFTs. They're just riling everyone up. It's just an endless like foray into silliness. But yeah, weird story. But it's not over. I got more NFT news, chat. Konami financials results confirm that there will be more NFTs on the way. So if you didn't see, NFTs were being sold by Konami that were of artwork that they were for particular games that they were getting created. Just is insane. I like Konami is very money grubby. This is a business that we are not surprised that they are doing this, and they're going to continue to do it because it was at least somewhat successful, and it's still the major talking point. So, yep, I don't know. As much as I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, there is still the very hard line that Konami would like to make money. So we'll see how this goes on forward. But in other news, away from NFTs, this was a weird one I came across. Ubisoft sues producer of the Assassin's Creed Symphony show. This stuff happens sometimes, not too often to this degree. Bit of a kind of, I don't know who's wrong in this one too much, but it's kind of a bit of a douchey thing to do, it feels almost like. So the Assassin's Creed Symphony show is actually a group that were being put together for Ubisoft to do a symphony show across the globe. They've been ongoing for a few years, and supposedly the contract ended because they failed to meet the minimum quality standards to missing royalty payments. So the licensing was taken away from them, but it sounds like they were still trying to prep to do a show. They're doing shows during a time period where it's pretty rough to do shows as well, related to COVID and things like that. And yeah, it's this weird thing where they still existed as a business and they wanted to continue, and now Ubisoft's suing them. So that's pretty rough. So I don't know. I don't really know more. Like, this is one of those things. It's hard from the outside in to see what actually was happening with this. But yeah. So that kind of sucks. Because I feel like it's a weird, like, you've got a weird IP situation with stuff like this sometimes, where it's just one of those, if there's an opportunity for a business and a business to have IP lapses, then they're very likely going to be aggressive over it because there's going to be money involved that they can take. So yeah, bit of a rough one, not gonna lie. All right, but in general business news, let's jump into a relatively big thing that happened. Definitely not as big as Microsoft purchasing Activision Blizzard. The previous Microsoft-owned company, Bungie, has now been purchased by Sony, which is very strange. Was not expecting this turn of events, but yeah. I guess Destiny is now Sony-owned, which is very weird because Destiny was on the Blizzard store because of Blizzard Activision for a period. Very, very strange. I mean, Sony purchasing someone is not the weirdest thing. They've been doing that for the past few years or so. This is a relatively big size company as well. Unsure if this means that they're wanting to encourage Bungie to make a new IP or to encourage them to continue supporting Destiny 2. I feel like Bungie probably must have a new project in the works just because of where they're at in terms of cycles. But PlayStation money behind them is pretty good. Generally, it makes results. Yeah. The throwdown between Microsoft and Sony continue. But they state basically that they won't be going down the route of having exclusivity for Destiny. But we'll see. It's always one of those things, they say something, you wait to see. Sony's always the one where I'm like a little bit more like, I don't know with the exclusivity because there's still, Sony's a bit more business. They're old school business, so. Well, on the note of that purchase, Sony CEO Jim Ryan says, absolutely expect more acquisitions. Not surprised. Again, I've said this is not the first big purchase they've done recently. Them picking up Bluepoint and a couple others. I don't believe that Bungie was the rumored one from a few months back. It might have been them. I know that there is another big one that Sony was rumoring about. There's quite a few ones that have been in discussion of recent, and I don't know whether COVID is related to this, where some sales have gone down for certain businesses, some gone up, but definitely Sony and Microsoft are in a big positive over them at the moment, that them purchasing companies makes sense. So not quite sure who else would be on the table for Sony, but they have to be very often they'll be relative to something on the platform already that they would be looking to either not to save. I would say that unlike Microsoft, where they kind of feels like they could be like a weird, like pick them up while they're weak. Sony generally hasn't been doing that. They've usually been picking up like ones on the rise. So not sure who really fits into that category. I still would like Sega to be kind of picked up by someone to be saved from themselves. But not really sure who fits into this category, but still a decently sized purchase though. Valve to reduce Steam discount cycles. So this one's a bit of a funny one. So if you guys don't know, Valve has very long sales. Like there's Steam sales all the time. There's like non-stop sales. There's so many sales, chat. You will very often, like if you've got websites that literally track the lowest price, that's what's going to be the lowest price the next time it goes up on sale. If you look at if there's a sale, there's so many different ways that you can keep an eye out for Steam sales, and it's generally worth it. Steam's a pretty good platform in terms of purchasing things for a relatively cheap price, provided it's an IP or a company that's producing the game that does reduce their price of the games. You'll notice some games stay pretty high consistently. Like a good example is a lot of anime games do that. But reducing the cycle down to just 28 days, it's not going to impact general people too much, I feel like. It's just you just have to remember to get it within the time frame. But for Steam, that for Valve and Steam, that means that they will be definitely trying to essentially have more consistent higher price time periods to get people to only purchase during the sale times, or just accept that they have to buy it at a higher price. So there's a bit of a business thing going on here, a bit of a meta thing, and kind of makes sense that this is finally happening. Today, the platform holder is providing developers beta access to a new bulk discounting tool also, which aims to help them manage their participation in promos throughout the year. So this is something that I think is interesting. This is a little detail that I think that is very good to see, because if you have not heard, the sales as a developer who is working with Valve, sometimes you don't have as much control as you would think, and stuff just kind of happens. Like I said, the lowest price you make it is the lowest price it has to be from then on in any sale. So if you reduce it too fast, then you might just be stuffed, and you might always have to have the sales at that price. And if you're forced to participate, that can be pretty bad. So this is good for smaller developers, I would say. Bigger developers probably also good, but it's just some changes that are happening that I think that it's probably more business side than necessarily end user, but you'll probably see the effects over the course of the next year or two. And the last article for today, like I said, there's some big news, but not a huge amount of news. Google deprioritizes the Stadia and shifts to securing streaming deals. So, can't believe we are still bringing up the Stadia. This thing is it just won't die. Google has a bit of a tendency to cockroach their projects, where they kind of just leave them around until they're kind of forgotten, until they turn off the services. From my understanding, the services are still up for the Stadia. You can still use it, and probably they should be doing that because they've sold a product. So if they turned it off too early, then they probably would be hit with lawsuits and stuff like that. But with this, it means that they've got a skeleton crew that's basically being shifted to other projects, such as securing streaming deals. So unsure what sort of form that's going to look at, but apparently they've talked to a couple of different ones, such as Bungie, Capcom. It's very strange. I don't know what this is going to look like. I still don't think Google and video games still don't quite go together. You just have to look at the gaming platform for the mobile. There's something that doesn't quite click, and just because of they're just different ideologies essentially. And I don't know if there will ever be a gaming division at Google. It's possible, but as it stands right now, the Stadia was not the way to go, and good riddance to bad rubbish. I can't believe that thing actually came out. But yeah, I think we won't hear the demise of Stadia so much as just hear this slowly whimper as it fades into obscurity. But yeah, Google be Google. All right, that's all the news for today. Like I said, we're kind of at that end January space where stuff gets announced. We're kind of ramping up to do some announce. Releases will probably start around this time period. February is going to have quite a few bigger releases, especially at the end, and then early March as well. And then we'll push into probably more news after that. So we're going to probably start into the February wind down period. But who knows? We might see some surprise stuff coming up. But yeah. Thank you, Carter. All right. Well, I'm going to take a quick break now, and we will jump into Pokemon. Yeah, I think we'll just be Pokemon today. Hopefully, we can finish off the main story. Are you going to be doing news stream stuff regarding Digicon? Probably, very likely, Fandra. I'll probably, because we're looking forward to it, because my hope is that essentially that there will be a announcement for the basically Digimon Survive getting an announcement release date finally. I can't believe they've held back so much, honestly. It's kind of crazy to me. I think that's what they're doing for. They must be holding back for Digimon Con, surely. The other thing is, I think there's going to be an announcement of another game that they've started development, likely, because they've probably started their second development already. The other thing is maybe seeing the other, like maybe we see the Korean ones or the Chinese ones being brought over to the West. They're the things I'm looking forward to. The anime is cool and all, but I'm not, like, it doesn't impact it. You only consume so much anime. Like it's not like a game where you can just replay and replay. So that's what I'm looking forward to with that. But we'll see. Anyway, if you guys have no more questions, I'm gonna go take a break now, and we will be back with Pokemon. So you guys sit tight and get your Poke Caps on. Be right back.